So we're here today in the Planetary Science Pavilion at the Blue Zone in COP30, and I'm here with Ane Alencar. She's the Director of Science at IPAM and a researcher of fire in the Amazon. In the panel earlier, we were speaking about how the fire is disturbing the functions of the forest and how it's hammering the environmental services of the Amazon. And well, why the fire got out of hand and what can we do about it and what effect it has in the region.
So we really had a great discussion in the panel that demonstrating how the Amazon has been impacted by extreme climatic events and how fires actually make these impacts even worse. So we demonstrated that in the 40 years, 2024 was a very bad year in terms of fire. We had about 7 million hectares of forest burned, and usually it's one every year. So demonstrating the impacts and the synergic impacts of climate change, human use of fires, and how this can actually potentialize the spread of fires. But the thing is, the Amazon forest is sensitive to fire. It's an ecosystem that fire should be really rare. And what we are having even more is the situation in which fires start in a pasture field, for example, or in a recent deforestation area, and enters in the forest and doesn't stop as it was before, because the forest is losing its ability to resist to a fire to spread. And that has a huge impact on carbon dynamics, for example. We had a major reduction in carbon dynamics and carbon source when we had the first fires. And also it has impacts on biodiversity. Not all the trees, for example, tolerate a fire-prone ecosystem. And we do have impacts for people that use those forests because they have the species that they use impacted by fires. And there are impacts on people's health because with lots of smoke going to the air, for sure we had like a major impacts on population.
And the emissions of these fires, I believe they have a great impact on the Brazilian emissions and the conservation of carbon in the forest. Are we taking note of those numbers and how big is the impact in this in the Brazilian emission, and what can we do about those numbers so that we can monitor them closely?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we are not accounting for the emissions from forest fires that affect most of the Amazon. And this is related with the way the national inventory reports our emissions, that takes out the emissions from the native areas, from the areas that are unmanaged. So this means that we are releasing more carbon to the atmosphere that has not been accounted. And for example, in 2024, we showed that if we have to account those emissions, we would report 97% more emissions than the emissions by land use change.
And how much of this impacts the degradation of the forest? Is it something we are looking into?
Yeah, fire is one of the major disturbances in terms of forest degradation in the Amazon. Once a forest is burned, you have immediate impact on tree mortality, and that tree mortality will cause the likelihood of that forest to be affected by a recurrent fire, another fire, because it will open the canopy. So the big trees dying will open the canopy. You have more fuel material on the ground. So when the fire comes from a nearby pasture, it will not find any barrier to get to enter in the forest and also to burn more intensively. And that can generate more degradation that will perpetuate this cycle of degradation in the future.
So that's it. I believe we understand now better how fire is impacting the Amazon and why we should be looking more into this and how big of a disturbance it is in the tropical forest. We need to talk about this, and we are here talking about it.